Your dad's fixing something in the shed, the lawnmower's busted again, and he's elbow deep in grease, muttering under his breath. You're standing there, holding the torch, trying not to shine it in his eyes, and then he says something, a phrase, short, sharp, perfectly Australian. And you know exactly what he means without him having to explain, because that's how people talked back then, in sayings. In expressions that made no literal sense, but everyone understood anyway. Fast forward 30 years and you say the same thing to someone younger, and they just stare at you, blank. Like you've spoken a different language, because they've never heard it. Their parents never said it. It's not in movies or on TV. It's just gone. Disappeared from everyday conversation like it was never there in the first place. So here are the Australian sayings that used to be everywhere and now live only in the memories of people who actually heard them. The thing your mum said when you were being annoying. Stone the crows, that was the phrase. Your mum would say it when she was exasperated, when you'd done something dumb or broken something, or asked the same question 15 times in a row. Stone the crows. Not angry exactly, just done. Finished with your nonsense, and you knew what it meant. It meant stop. It meant settle down. It meant you were pushing your luck, and if you kept going, there'd be consequences, but she never actually explained it. Never told you why she was stoning crows, or what crows had to do with anything. It was just something people said. Something that hung in the air for a second before she went back to whatever she was doing. And the weird part is, you can't remember the last time you heard someone say it. Not your mates, not people on the street, not even older folks at the shops. It's just vanished. Like the phrase reached its use-by date and everyone collectively forgot it existed. The insult that wasn't really an insult. Your old man would call someone a silly galah, usually when they'd done something stupid, locked their keys in the car, forgot to turn the hose off. Showed up to a barbecue without bringing anything, silly galah. And it was never mean, it was almost affectionate, like calling someone a bit of a drongo or a dag. It acknowledged they'd stuffed up without making a big deal out of it. Because everyone stuffed up. Everyone had moments where they were a bit of a galah. So you'd laugh it off, shake your head, and move on. But try calling someone a silly galah now, and they'll think you've lost it. They won't know if you're joking or serious, or if you've just made up a word on the spot, because the phrase has disappeared. Gone the way of so many other expressions that were perfectly normal in the 70s and 80s, and completely baffling now. The phrase that ended every argument. She'll be right, 2 words that solved everything. The car's making a weird noise. She'll be right, you've got an exam tomorrow and haven't studied. She'll be right, the fence is leaning and probably needs fixing. She'll be right. It wasn't optimism, exactly. It was more like acceptance. And understanding that worrying wouldn't change anything, so you might as well just get on with it. And people said it constantly. Your dad, your uncle, the bloke at the servo. It was the default response to almost any problem that wasn't actively life-threatening. And the thing is, most of the time, it was right. Things did work out. The car kept running. You passed the exam. The fence stayed standing. But somewhere along the line, people stopped saying it. Maybe because things got more complicated. Maybe because she'll be right started to sound irresponsible, like you weren't taking things seriously enough. And now, when someone does say it, it feels almost quaint, like a relic from a simpler time when people didn't overthink everything. The warning that meant you were in trouble. You'd be mucking around, pushing boundaries, doing something you shouldn't, and your mum would give you the look, the one that meant stop now or else. And if you didn't stop, if you kept going, she'd say it, don't come the raw prawn with me, and that was it. That was the final warning. You didn't know what a raw prawn had to do with anything. You just knew that tone, that edge in her voice, and you'd pull your head in, straighten up, stop whatever you were doing, because don't come the raw prawn meant she'd had enough. Meant she could see right through whatever excuse you were about to make. Meant you were about 2 seconds away from real consequences. And every Australian kid from that era knew it, felt it, respected it, But kids now have never heard it. Their parents don't say it. And when you try to explain it, when you say it was a warning not to try and trick someone, they still don't get it because the phrase has lost its power, lost its context. And without that, it's just words. The compliment that sounded like an insult, good on ya. That's what people said when you did something right, passed a test, fixed the shed door, remembered to pick up milk on the way home. Good on ya. Short for good on you, and it was genuine, a real compliment. But it was delivered so casually, so offhand, that if you weren't Australian, you might miss it completely. There was no big fuss, no elaborate praise, just good on ya and a nod, and that was enough. Because that's how people showed appreciation back then. Quietly, without making a scene, and you'd feel proud. Even though all they'd said was 2 words, even though they'd already moved on to the next thing, it mattered, it landed. But now, people don't say it as much. They say, well done, or great job, or nice work. Longer phrases, more formal. And something about good on ya, the simplicity of it, the warmth buried in those 2 syllables, that's been lost. Do you remember who said it to you the most? The question that wasn't really a question, how are you going? Not how are you going, how are you going? Faster, blurred together. And it wasn't actually asking how you were, it was a greeting. A way to acknowledge someone without stopping for a full conversation. You'd pass someone in the street, at the shops, in the driveway, and they'd say it. How are you going? And you'd say, yeah, not bad, or good thanks, and keep walking. No one expected a real answer. No one wanted to hear about your day in detail. It was just the done thing, the polite thing, the Australian thing. But these days, people say hey, or hi, or what's up, shorter, less specific. And how are you going has faded, become something only older folks say, something that marks you as being from a different time. And when you hear it now, when someone actually says it the old way, it hits different. Feels like home. The expression that meant something was broken beyond repair. Cactus. That's what you'd call something when it was completely rooted. The washing machine's cactus, the mower's cactus, the whole bloody thing's cactus. And everyone knew what it meant. Done, finished. No point trying to fix it. Time to get a new one or just live without it. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't emotional. It was just a fact, stated plainly, accepted without argument. And people used it for everything. Cars, appliances, relationships, sometimes even plans. We were going to go to the beach, but the weather's cactus, and it worked. It was efficient, got the point across in one word. But now, people say broken or busted or not working, longer, more accurate, maybe, but less Australian, less ours. And when you say something's cactus and someone looks at you confused, you realise the language has moved on, left that word behind. And you're one of the last people still using it. The saying that ended every favour. You'd ask your neighbour to help move something, or your mate to lend you a tool, and when you were done, when you tried to thank them, they'd wave you off. No worries. That was it. No worries. Not no problem or you're welcome or don't mention it. Just no worries. And it meant exactly that. There was nothing to worry about. No debt owed, no favour that needed repaying, just people helping people, because that's what you did. And it was said so casually, so automatically, that it barely registered. You'd hear it 10 times a day and not think twice. But now, even though people still say no worries, sometimes it's different. It's mixed in with other phrases, other responses. And the pure, unthinking certainty of it, the way it used to mean we're good, we're mates, don't stress, that's faded, become diluted. And something about that feels like a loss. The words we lost without noticing. Here's the thing about language. It doesn't announce when it's leaving, it doesn't send a farewell letter or give you a chance to say goodbye. It just quietly slips away, one phrase at a time, until you wake up one day and realize the way you used to talk doesn't exist anymore. The sayings your parents used, the expressions that punctuated your childhood, they're gone. And the only people who remember them are the ones who were there, who heard them, who used them without thinking, and maybe that's all right. Maybe language is supposed to evolve, but it doesn't stop you from missing it. From wishing you could hear your dad say "stone the crows" one more time, or your mum tell you not to come the raw prawn, because those phrases weren't just words, they were voices. Moments, home. Which saying do you wish you could hear again, just one more time?